See, I keep,
I think I just signed Julian. Right? Yep, I see you.
okay, so I'm all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you see the screen that I have?
Yeah, no, it says Midtown Memphis Rodeo or Rotary. Okay, can you see me now?
Yep.
Yep, okay, good.
Ooh.
All right, kind of the pecking order, I'll call them, meeting to order, do the flag pledge and then the the four-way test and then any announcements will come after, invited guests and so forth. And then I've got a list of the announcements and then I'll introduce Judith.
Yeah, that sounds good. I should be able to get all the PowerPoint information here too.
Okay.
I'll hang up on my phone and just talk through that.
You what? Okay, yeah, no, I gotta plug mine in.
I think it was just giving some weird feedback. Can you still hear me?
Hold on just a second. Okay, you good?
Yes. I'm just adding one more thing to the schedule for the introductions and then we should be good. I'm glad you all have power and everything back on.
Oh, man, I tell you, I've had different crises in my life, but that ranks right up there with them. Fortunately, our daughter is here in town, or we'd have been up a creek. We had neighbors going across the street. They had some power on the corners here. And most of the neighborhood's back, but even Carr Avenue, it's spotty over there, and it's probably the individual lines have been cut to the houses. So that's kind of.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. How about yourself? What's happening with you?
We got lucky and just had it out for a day and then we're all good. But yeah, just taking it easy and everything.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to do the School of Optometry and what you're doing in light of everything else going on. But
yeah, it's been a little busy recently.
yeah, I can imagine. Well, my son's boss in Okinawa, his sister got COVID and was on a respirator and he had to fly out. And now he's back and he's got it. It's like one thing after another. He's still waiting on what shoe's going to drop next in terms of where they live, because he's at the mercy pretty much of the government. So, but it'll be good. He's coming home for the first time. I'll see him in 2 years in March, right after our meeting. I go up, I think it's the 8th. To Indiana.
Awesome.
He's flying in to do that. So, you're going to get back to Michigan, or are you going to go south for spring break?
I think I'm gonna go to Michigan, see the family again, but yeah, it'll be a little cold, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, no, I was funny. I had my sister move back to DeWitt, Michigan, outside of Lansing, and man, everything's been better. Her neighbors are just grand, and 16 inches of snow. They didn't even slow down. It was like, this is a dusting. But
yeah, for sure.
so where is your family in Michigan?
We're 20 minutes south of Detroit. So it's like the downriver area called Trenton.
Sure, I know Trenton. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I like it now looking back at it, but while I was living there, maybe not, but
I haven't seen them in probably 40 years, but
yeah, it was really cool. I did the rowing program in high school,
right.
and that was a lot of fun on the Detroit River doing that. It was
Oh, I
cool.
bet. Yeah, I wouldn't want to try rowing on this river.
Yeah.
Watching some of the boats when we had Memphis in May a couple years ago, the Coast Guard had a big boat with like 300 horsepower motors on the back, and it was just barely moving at full throttle.
That's crazy.
That is dangerous. I guess inside Mud Island and stuff's all right for kayaking and that kind of thing, but boy, I wouldn't chance it.
Yeah, that's pretty tough stuff over there, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were practicing in the fog one day,
Yeah.
and we heard a freighter come through the channel. And
Oh,
we're all like,
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And,
Well, we had
it was
a
crazy.
boat on Lake Michigan, and in Racine, we lived right on the water in a real old home that we couldn't afford today. And we had some real incidents on Lake Michigan. I had a friend that got a brand new boat. We talked him into buying it, and 34 footer, and he's a pilot and should know better. But we started out and there was a tornado warning on Lake Michigan, and it was going across to Schoolcraft where he was going to interview for a job. And I thought, nah, he asked my advice. I said, well, I'd go as far south as I can get, as fast as I can get. And the tornado went right up the river in Schoolcraft.
Wow,
And
that is
I thought,
crazy.
oh my. And then the same guy, he has radar and everything. So we were following him up the coast. We pulled into one of the coastal towns, and we were in fog. You couldn't see 10 feet off the front of the boat. And pretty much the same story as you, except we were dealing with a breakwater, and we just caught the entrance, and he missed it and kept doing U's. And we were afraid he was going to hit the breakwater. And finally, we got to the gas dock, and there was a couple of teenagers with jet skis, and we gave them a 6-pack of beer, and they went out and got him in because they were lower than the fog. He was one happy camper to be off that lake, because we'd had people hit the breakwaters with boats that were being foolish and drinking too much. So
That's crazy.
yeah. So how close did you come to the freighter?
Oh, really close. It was coming through the fog. Everyone was like, go. And like, it was nuts. We rode really hard to get out of there.
My wife insisted that we have 2 motors on our boat. Hello, Denise.
Hey, Denise. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Hey, Denise.
She's not on audio yet. Ellen's on. Good. Hi, Denise. I think unless you have me on mute.
Hey, Ellen.
Hey, Dustin.
How you doing?
A lot better. I now have heat and electricity today, so in good shape. What about y'all?
That's good. Yeah, we only lost it for a day. That's just
Oh, that's
crazy
good.
with everything that's been happening. I'm so sorry.
I'm surprised Denise has power.
It looks like she's in her car, I think. Maybe.
Yeah,
no.
that's probably, she has to be.
She has power.
I don't think she has.
Well, and we were out of school today because believe this or not, our lower school has still been out of power on Monday and Tuesday. And
Right.
then yesterday, St. Mary's, when I was trying to deal with my boiler and then the power on and off, yesterday our middle school lost power in the middle of the day because some
Oh,
vehicle hit the side of our brand new middle school fitness
right.
center area. So we were knocked out. So that meant that we couldn't go to school today. So half of the school was there and half of the school was at home. So, but we just got notice that we can go back into school tomorrow. So it's just crazy.
The only thing set in stone for the calendar for March is the 29th.
Okay.
Pan has a presentation and awards for the Snowden essay contest.
Okay.
And that was all approved yesterday.
Oh, great. Let me do that right now while I'm pulling this
Okay.
up. And you said that was what, the 29th? Is that what you said?
Correct. And then if you'll work with Al has Frank to redo,
Okay.
and I'm trying to, I'll probably do the creative aging lady to Slaughter, but I want to get Frank in first if we can.
Okay. Now my question is, so what do we have? Because we have WYXR for February 15th.
Right, that'll be in person at the studio.
Okay, so I'm going to put in person at the studio and we'll get an address, I guess. And then, but what about February 22nd? Do we have anything there? Is that what you were mentioning or no?
No, I don't. That's,
Do you happen to know if Frank was available or he needs March specifically?
he needs March at this point. My
Okay.
understanding is he
Yeah.
needs to be in person, and
Sure.
hopefully we'll be back by then.
Okay, so that means I need to move him into March and we need something for February 22nd.
Right.
Okay. Let me move this while we're at it. And then let's see here.
I see Pan is on now.
Oh, good. Okay.
I can't hear her. She's muted as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, you're muted.
And
You,
then,
you wanted me. You definitely want me muted.
okay. And then,
Yeah, I'm happy now.
okay, Pan and Mike, could you tell me on March 29th, what do we call that again? That program that Pan is doing?
That's just, go ahead, Pan.
Ryla.
Okay, so it is Ryla and it's RYLA.
Oh, no,
right?
no, 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 wait.
No,
sorry.
it's,
No.
no.
It's
It's the Snowden Awards.
Laws of Life Essay Contest Awards.
Okay, so it's called Loss of Life?
Laws. Oh, no, no.
Laws. Okay, I was like, oh, that's not good.
Let
Laws
us hope
of
not.
Life. Okay, and then
Funny.
Snowden Essay Awards. Okay, and
Uh-huh.
that's gonna be right there at SCO, right?
Correct.
Yes, we hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, goodness. Pan, are y'all doing okay? Do y'all have power over there?
Nope,
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah.
But there are lots of trucks on the street now, so we're hoping by tomorrow we will have power.
That's good. I got mine back finally yesterday. I mean, it was up and down, but that's what it caused. My thing with,
Oh.
the fire department had to come 3 times to York Avenue
Oh,
because,
my goodness.
yeah, because it was burning out people's, electrical boards. It,
No.
yeah, I mean, my basement was smoking because my brand new boiler, it hit apparently it lost the neutral from the neutral line into my house. And so it had to attach itself to something. And that was the wire to my boiler. And I mean, luckily I walked in right as it was happening because it had burned all the way in 2. and my boiler would have blown had I not walked in. So it was
Oh, no,
so I had to
Helen.
yeah, I had to call the fire department. My mom had to call the fire department to her house, and then another neighbor down the street for similar issues. So then they shut us down. So it wasn't a matter of getting power back on. It was a matter of getting everything repaired and making sure it was safe to turn back on.
Wow.
We're just
Gosh.
grateful
I
we
mean,
have.
there are so many problems to do with this kind of thing.
That's true.
It's quite amazing how much good they do.
Right. That is true. I was very grateful. So
Well, we
well,
had 5 guys wandering around our yard today for a while, making
that's
sure that, you know, everything was out of the way so they could proceed to do whatever. How about you, Denise? Have they been you down your way?
They're doing stuff behind the walls. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm in the car.
Oh, you're the
Anyway, I'm optimistic because there's so many of them. I counted like 9 trucks.
Yeah.
And I did corner one of the guys and asked him to explain what he was doing. And apparently on our block, there were 4 different outages, as in lines down, trees on top of something. So that's the reason it's taken so long just to do our block.
Wow. Gosh.
So it's, and then they were also working on the one between Mimosa and Winoka as well. And that one had like a big tree on the line. They had only like single phase electricity as opposed to 3. So it was potentially damaging equipment as well.
Well. And Coble, how have you been?
I'm fine. I moved downtown. Yeah. And we didn't have a flicker. So I hate to be smug, but
There's
I've
one
been
in every
fine.
club.
I tell you,
There's
I
2.
think
actually. I didn't
I
have.
moved-
I had it. Oops,
And
what did-
Al?
moved down here at the right time.
Oh, that's good.
Don't have trees downtown, as Coble says.
We don't have trees. Right.
True.
Al, are you downtown or at your home or?
Oh, me?
No, Al.
No. Oh, Al. I was like, Al. Wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I'm at the office now. We were, Harbor Town was down for
Hello,
about
Susan.
2 days or more. And, but then we're back up now. And so everything is better.
That's great.
Let Ellen tell her story. Ellen, tell them about what happened to you.
Oh, just that, well, first I was at my mom's house checking out her area, and we had major damage behind one of the homes on York Avenue to one of the poles, and it caused us to, as a neighborhood, to lose the neutral line to the pole, which meant that power surged back into our homes and attached itself to different things. Like with mom's, it was her fuse box, and her fuse box then became hot to the touch and started like arcing and making horrible noises, and it was going down the conduit in the wall.
That's so scary.
It was, and she had already had a fire in a conduit once before, so we called MLGW, and of course they're just booked up, and if you don't have an active fire, they can't come, but we're trying to prevent a fire, and so finally it got to the point where she was afraid it was really going to catch fire, and she called the fire department. And then I thought, well, I better go check my house. And when I walked over to my house, there was smoke pouring out of my basement. Yeah. And I took pictures. It was terrifying because it was within, like inches of my boiler. And it actually burned through part of my building inside. So, and our neighbor also had a similar issue, and he was having vibrations under the floor. And somehow his water line was also electrified. So it was really kind of freaky. He had to call the fire department too. But we're just grateful we have our homes and we're okay.
Yep.
What about y'all?
And Mike, you're okay.
Yeah, we're fine. We were out for 4 days and visited our daughter on McNeil, who had power all the time, so we were good, but
Oh, that's great.
I definitely don't sleep well in a mummy bag in front of the fireplace, so we gave that up on Friday.
Cough drop.
So are y'all okay, Pam?
No, we're at a friend's house right now.
Okay.
I'm walking around looking for a cough drop, that's all.
Well, I know your niece didn't have any last night. Are you still out?
Yeah, we're still out. But they had a lot of electricians and tree cutters and all sorts of people here up and down the street this afternoon. So I'm trying to be optimistic, but it's living in a 40-degree house
Horrible.
does really make you appreciate what we take for granted usually. Fortunately, we
My
had a
neighbors, other than
Okay.
my side of the street, there's no electricity behind me, all up in those big houses up there on, I call it, the mansions, the McMansions.
Yeah,
They're on Lexington and Suggs, and they're all out unless they have generators, and a lot of them do because they have big houses.
yeah. Well, fortunately, we have light. We have these special light bulbs that you can use as regular light bulbs. But then when the lights go out, the electricity goes out, you can turn them on, and they're just like lamp bulbs. And so that's nice that you can unscrew and carry them around the house. So those are pretty cool, like a flashlight.
That's
If-
cool.
Dustin, if you're there, let's get started. I think Judith's on now.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Judith, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, on behalf of myself and the board of directors, I want to thank everyone for their patience through this pandemic and the power outage. It seems we're getting hit doubly. As I start into the pledge, I'd like all of us, I'm thankful that certainly we have the patience with our board and our members that we have all voted to go back, and unfortunately the college turned us down and are not having any in-person meetings with outsiders, and this will last probably until the 1st of March. But as we've all been through both the pandemic and the power outage, as we go into the pledge, I'd like to remember our first responders, those in healthcare, our teachers, and certainly our utility workers who have been working around the clock to get us back up. And with that, I will say the pledge, and I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, the four-way test. Is it the truth? Number one. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Next, are there any guests on at this point? I don't believe there are. I'm going to go into the announcements as best I can from the last several meetings. Right now, we have Pan's proposal for Snowden was approved yesterday for the essay contest, and that will actually end on March 29th with the presentation to both the students as well as the parents. The the bylaws have been submitted for a draft form to the board of directors for their input, and then hopefully we will be able, the board of directors have been working over and looking at and discussing this, and hopefully we'll have the bylaws, which were redone last in the 2020, actually approved at our April or May meeting. Harry has done a wonderful job with the Boys and Girls Clubs with our book
Just a minute. They're
programs.
starting. I'll be there in a minute.
And we just finished one at the Sycamore location for the Boys and Girls Club. And then next week, we have a in-person visit to the radio station across town. And then on Thursday, Harry is having another and needs, quite frankly, help. We had such a wonderful time at a book fair. This will be at the at Promise Boys and Girls Club on Bryant Street. And we do need volunteers for that. Al Harvey has graciously agreed to chair a committee basically to provide a nomination slate for officers in the board. And we're looking at a April election to do that. The members will include, in addition to Al, Harry, Will, Jen, Denise, and Yolander. I'm very much grateful for Al and his efforts on that and getting that wrapped up. Are there any other announcements from before I introduce Judith? Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and introduce Judith, and Dustin will be working with her to work through her slide presentation. I've been involved in 3 different cities now in preservation, and to this date, I've not met anyone with Judith's education experience and expertise. She not only has an MSU, and I better state Memphis versus my alma mater, State University degree in art history. She's worked for major cities outside of Memphis, both in Idaho as well as New York's Albany. She brings not only expertise, but I look forward to her presentation on Midtown Memphis homes. Judith, I've known for a number of years, and she has been our historian. Whenever Central Gardens does their home tours, Judith is responsible and has been gracious enough to do the write-ups for each of the homes. So welcome, Judith, and look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you, Mike. What a kind introduction. I'm gonna have a hard time living up to that. All righty, if we like, we're hoping that none of the properties we're gonna look at tonight have been demolished by a tree, okay?
Okay.
So that being said, Dustin, why don't you go ahead and put us into the first slide? All right, so looking at the southern boundaries of Midtown, this is a home in the Glenview Historic District. It's actually an antebellum house, 1850 Center Hall. You can always tell them because they got 5 bays in the front. But about 1900, we had a mayor and this was his home, and he upgraded it to being Dutch Revival. So the house still stands today. And is really a treasure, one of the oldest homes in Midtown. Next. All right, so moving east, this building is actually, if you're coming down Southern, it's to the south on the railroad tracks right before you get to Highland. This is an 1870 piano box style house. Now, I've never seen a piano come in a box, so I can't really tell you where this style, how they're seeing this, but it's definitely Victorian. They've added apparently the bay windows at a later time. This house was owned by a gentleman who was a bachelor and had no family members, and he convinced the landmarks Association to put it on the National Register as a landmarks district to protect it. So sadly, his strategy didn't work out quite so well. And today it's not the showplace that it was when he owned it, but it's still standing. So that's a good thing. Next, please.
Judith, I had a quick question about the first home. Which mayor had that home?
Oh, it was a Mayor Liddy, Litty. And I actually went to an estate sale there when his daughter, who was elderly, was moving into assisted care. And I got these wonderful photographs, and like an idiot, I gave them to the Memphis room without scanning them first. Otherwise, I could show you some really great historic family photographs from that. But if you go to the Memphis room and look for the Liddy house, they'll have them there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. Some of you may be familiar with this. This is the Nicholas Cotton house in Bartlett. It's actually a Gothic revival house. These were always found in rural areas. And at that time in 1875, Bartlett was pretty rural. So when you're driving through towns now, old towns, if you look around and you see the houses with the three gables in the front, you can know that at one time that area was very, very remote. So, but we have this treasure here. I believe the Bartlett Historical Society has their meetings here. They maintain it. Next. All right, so moving close to home here, we actually have our own Gothic cottage. This is the Roselle house in Ansdale. I'm sorry, in Central Gardens. And you know, this house used to face Central when old Mr. Roselle built the thing. The Central was really the only street. After they subdivided that area of Central Gardens, they moved the house. They literally put it on logs and had mules drag it over here and put it, I guess it's facing Harbor now. It's a beautiful house, very, very well maintained. However, I have a real problem with the entrance, which is happily blocked by part of the fence. I think that the entrance has been changed. The Gothic entrance would have been different, but nonetheless, it's still quite a treasure, and they're right in the heart of Central Gardens. Next. All right. Well, actually, we have Carpenter Gothic all over town. I don't know if anybody recognizes this, but this is Elmwood Cemetery. And today, this is the office. And there's a rear addition actually done by architect Jack Tucker, probably 20 years ago. So at the time when this was built, Elmwood Cemetery was the city's first public park. And people would go over on Sundays. They would take the mule train out there, the mule drawn trolley out there, and they would decorate the graves and have picnics and whatever. And this home at that time was the caretaker's cottage. And over time, Elmwood has really changed a lot, but they have a really interesting mule barn over there as well, where because this is basically the first trolley in the city that ran out here way before electric, and they would house the mules out there. And this genre was popular all over the country and was made popular by Andrew Jackson Davis, who wrote this great book called Rural Residences, and then his illustrator, Andrew Jackson Downing. Next, please. All right. So now we're back in, we're downtown, we're in Greenlaw, and this house stands on 4th Street. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have some kind of horrible little thing going on here, but I don't have COVID. At any rate, this is folk Victorian. It's a double shotgun. It was renovated by John Griffin. Some of you all may know John. He's a landscape architect and interior designer. And this house is just a really beautiful reminder of the wonderful area that was Greenlaw, which is the city's first subdivision. It was subdivided in 1856. So you can drive by there today if you wish and still see this house. Next house, please. All right, coming closer to home here. We're now at Annisdale Park. This is a Victorian cottage. Probably about 1900. We know it's a little bit later because it doesn't have a wraparound porch, which was the hallmark of a 19th century house. but it's a really beautiful colonial revival. Has the gable, the front facing gable, and a wonderful add-on porch. And the windows on either side there are called cottage windows. So if you see larger outsized windows, those are actually cottage windows, and we're there to illuminate the living room because lack of electricity made for a dark room. So they would put these in. Next. All right, so this is a beautiful colonial revival house. This is in Central Gardens. As you can see, it's 1903, but to the left there, you kind of have the wraparound porch there. They're still remembering that. This house has been beautifully maintained and has a tile roof and a pair of dormers with beautiful tile on them, and even a matching little centerpiece there on the front porch. So this is a wonderful example of colonial revival, which is a style, I guess it came up in about the 1880s after America, after we were kind of, I guess, going into the centennial or whatever, and we started looking back on our colonial revival past. Or back then it was actually colonial. So colonial revival came in 1880, and you still see it built today. It has simply never died. It's probably the quintessential American style when you get right down to it. Next slide. Now this is a beautiful Queen Anne, and some of y'all may be familiar with this. It's on Central Avenue, and it has a turret. It also has a wraparound porch. So once again, it's right after the turn of the 20th century, but it still displays hallmarks of the 19th century styles. And the wall cladding there is stone veneer with coins in there, and it's just a really great stone house here, and quite an attraction for that corner. Next, please. All right, this is my favorite turret in Central Gardens, okay? I just really love the shingle work on this. And this is 1910 Queen Anne. And what we're seeing here is the first floor is clad in a stone veneer, but the second floor has the wood shingle, has the wonderful turret. I'm sure this had tile on it at one time. And then you got two dormers to boot. So then you have a small in size porch. But it's really a great house, and once again, it's beautifully maintained. Next. All right. I don't know if any of y'all recognize this historic photograph, but this is the Galloway Mansion over on Overton Park, and was the home of Colonel Galloway. He was an Irishman who came to the U.S. and did really, really well for himself. He had coal and oil, and then he had a moving company, I guess some sort of transfer company. I never exactly understood what his moving company was about, but he built this home right there by Overton Park. And this style is a neoclassical. You can always tell it because the two-story porches always have a circle coming out, and it has very elaborate dentils. Once again, we got that great tile roof, and quoins, and brick veneer. It's pretty much a show place. As you can see, it's kind of interesting. He has a banana tree there in the front yard, and this looks like some sort of yucca down here on the left. I guess they had to take all that stuff in every winter. They probably had some sort of greenhouse, or else sent it over to Overton Park, because he became a wealthy real estate developer, and then he was also the father of the park system, and very devoted to our park system here. And it's only fitting that he would build his showy home right there by Overton Park. If we can go to the next slide, you can see how it looks today. There it is. It's not quite the landscaping, but nonetheless, over time, it's really maintained. It looks really well. Colonel Galloway was a very interesting man. He had a wife, Mary. I think she came over from Ireland with him, and she passed. So he built the Mary Galloway Home for Women, which was a resting, like a care facility for women who were very poor and needed a place to stay. And then he turned around and married a widow from Alabama who had 2 young children. And I've never been able to figure out what their names ever were, but they were renamed Robert and Roberta. Like, okay, he didn't have any children himself, but by crackies are going to be named after him. Then what's so interesting is that Roberta Galloway married into the Snowden family. She became Roberta Snowden. So you can read the wills and everything. It's a really fascinating family and how the social set in the early 20th century Memphis functioned. All right, next. All right, I just threw this in. Sorry, the top of the slides cut off, bad me. But nonetheless, this is a great colonial revival. So let's look at colonial revival features for a moment. You're generally going to have a pent. You're going to have a pent roof, which is what this one has up here, which is it's peaked and has the bottom on it. A pediment and pent, I'm sorry. And then they generally have dentils, which are the little bitty toothy looking things that run along the gutters and curbs and things there. And then we have pretty classical, this is 2 stories, so we have these great classical columns. Now, this is the same entrance as what I was showing you on the Roselle house, but it's totally appropriate here because it has the fan light and the big windows and is very, very symmetrical. Colonial Revival loves symmetry. So it's a great house. I can't remember what street this is on. It's kind of an obscure street there, but if you're driving, you'll see it. Next slide, please.
It's on Harbert.
Harbert, thank you. Harbert has all the great houses. All right, so I really love this one. So composite cottages come up around 1900, and they're basically they're not worker housing, but they're certainly middle-class housing. And they're composite. I'm not sure why we call it composite other than it has different shapes and styles to it. But this one's Colonial Revival. Let's look for our hallmarks. We've got our cottage window. We've got wonderful stickwork there in the gable. And look, we even have verge boards up there in the peak of the gable and on the dormer as well. And that's a fan light decoration up there. So this house is beautifully maintained and is a real showpiece as far as a composite cottage goes. I think we went over there with one of my garden meetings at one time. We were over there admiring the trees in the backyard. All right, next house. Okay, I love this. This is the Gamble House in Pasadena, California. And this is like the primo craftsman home in the country. This was designed by the 2 brothers, Green and Green. The bungalow, the craftsman bungalow is kind of based on Indian bungalows, which were open plan and everything, but Green and Green brought it to the United States. And Gamble is actually Procter and Gamble. This is the original family that founded it. And in the bedrooms in there, they must have been really short people because there's these 2 tiny beds in the master bedroom, but each one of them is inset with semi-precious stones. I've never seen anything like the interior of this house. So this is actually, we're looking at the back. This goes down, this pathway goes down to a butterfly sanctuary, which is really a wonderful place too, but let's go inside here. All right, this is a very typical craftsman interior. And as you can see, you've got the entry with side lights and a full 3-piece transom. The really cool thing about this one is it has a tree of life, I guess. Anyway, it's growing up through every one of the windows in there, and it's just spectacular. And then you can see we've got hardwood floors, we've got vaulted ceilings, and we've got great mission style furniture and panel walls. So it's very much the epitome of the way a craftsman house should look. Now there is one entry in Memphis that has a similar motif of a tree growing around, and it's the I think it's Mississippi Boulevard Congregation Church over there on Poplar, a little bit west of Cleveland. But it used to be a synagogue, and the stained glass in it replicates this pretty closely. So if you ever get a chance to go in there and look at that stained glass, you really ought to do it. The sanctuary is pretty stunning as well. Next. Oh, rats, I didn't take the picture of the kitchen. So the kitchen was when people were starting to be sanitary and worry about food poisoning. So it was all porcelain. It was pretty spectacular, but we don't have a photo, sorry. At any rate, next time I'm in California, I'll get one. All right, so this is another great bungalow. This one has a porte cochere on it, and has the hallmarks of the bungalow. It has the green earth colors. It has stone veneer balustrade. It has it looks like a different sort of stone chimney up there. And then we've got a lot of wonderful woodwork as well. So the bungalow was supposed to blend in, Green and Green wanted to blend in with the neighborhood. So never paint your bungalow pink. All right, that's an injunction of mine. It's just really, the earth colors do it credit. And this is a great choice. Next, please. All right, so this is a little more modest. This is over in Evergreen, but this too has the hallmarks of Craftsman. We're looking at wainscoting that's wood. We're looking at stucco for the rest of the wall cladding. We're looking at brackets in the gable front there. They've got 6/1 windows. They've got brick piers, both full and partial. And not only do they have a porch, but it's open, so it gives it a patio-like effect. I think the tree there is particularly nice too. So this is a great modest bungalow that really is true to its Craftsman origins. Go ahead. All right, some of you all might recognize this. I think this is Overton Park at McLean, Evergreen. That's it. It's Overton Park at Evergreen. And this house sits on the corner. Now, this is an eclectic style house. And what happened in the early 20th century is people wanted to grasp their European origins. And all these architects went back and looked at Renaissance and Craftsman and Tudor and English revival as well, and came up with, fanciful in a way. None of them are truly, none of them are truly replicas of anything, but nonetheless, they look really great. And once again, we have stone veneer, we have paired brackets underneath the awning there. We have an incised porch up on the second floor, which I assume is probably the bedroom, because if that was my house and I owned it, I would have that little porch up there. So, but what's really neat about this house that you don't see done anymore is that it acknowledges that it's on a corner. So the entry is canted, so it faces both Overton Park and Evergreen. That's a really nice touch to it. Once again, we're seeing cottage windows and we're seeing a wraparound porch here. But in this case, it's to allow that canted entry to come in. And so if you're driving and looking at houses in historic districts and you see them when they acknowledge both the corners, you know that somebody took the time and the expense to make that be gracious from both sides. So I really like that touch. Next. All right, this is just a stunning Craftsman house. Now, actually, if a house is 2 stories, it's called a house. If a structure is 1 story, it's called a cottage. So this is truly a Craftsman house rather than a cottage. And we're seeing, this is pretty elegant. I think it's on Belvedere, so yeah, it's elegant. So what we've got here is a front porch and a side porch for the family. We have got windows that are this elegant craftsman design. They're multi-light over single light, but the top is done in a very fanciful pattern. We can see that we have wall dormers here. A wall dormer is a dormer that allows you to have a window on the second floor and then goes up to the attic and provides ventilation for the attic. So not only do they look cool, but they're very, very useful for architects to get interior space that works well. We've got, once again, I think this is stucco with maybe wood in pieces here, on the corners. And then the porches are stucco and a stone veneer, and they've got this elegant balustrade of cut stone that connects the side porch with the front porch. So it's quite a showpiece for craftsmen. Next slide, please. All right, I was going to talk about them just then, but I'll talk, and let's look back for just a second. So this is called a jerkin head, the way the roof goes funky. Let's go back for just a second, and you can see that we have the jerkin head there as well. So it was a very popular roof style, but as far as I can tell, it was actually a little cheaper to do that. You didn't have to have your lumber be quite as long. So wherever you could save a buck. It's the roof supported by brackets. It has paired attic vents, and it has like multi-light. I think those are 8/1 windows. But look at the porch, look at the columns on that. That's just this really elegant, almost mission style with the projecting song brackets there. And then it has the very small strips in between the two columns, which is a very nice touch. We can't really see. Oh, and look, they've got the roof painted blue because that's good luck on the porch. So this, once again, is a really great house and works really well in the South, especially before air conditioning. So that's why we see so many that date. It kind of dies. Bungalow dies out maybe, I guess, the Depression kind of killed the bungalow. We got much more modest with everything, but this is just a really great craftsman bungalow here. Next. All right. Okay, I have a real fondness for Tudor, and this one is just gaudy as it can possibly be. You couldn't find much better in London in the 16th century. So what we have here, well, there's several things that are classical about a Tudor, and this one I took a photograph of because it exemplifies all your great Tudor features. First of all, it has a front-facing chimney. That's just a hallmark of a Tudor house, yes. And then we have the wonderful stone cladding. But look, the entrances on Tudors are almost always arched. And this one is just a stunning example of a brick arch around the door, and there's a wreath hanging on it, but I bet you $1 to a donut it's got a diamond shaped window there in the middle. And then as moving on over, we've got paired diamond windows, which are so Tudor because back in Elizabethan times you couldn't really pour a piece of glass and roll it that was over about just a few inches. So that they're cool now, but they were done for a very practical reason. And if y'all ever want to hear my slideshow on modernism, we can talk all about rolling glass, okay? So then we have stucco and the wood in between, and this has an Elizabethan name, and it's just escaping me. But it began as straw in between wood with stucco over it, and then it's got a wood on it with just stucco on it, and then this fanciful little curved piece there on the side. So it's a really great house. I wish they'd cut some of that yard down, but whatever. So at any rate, so this is a great Tudor with all the features that we're looking for. And and they never have porches, but you can see the iron balustrade is there, and probably over here in the corner there's a little bit more of the patio. So next slide, please. Excuse me. Come in. Okay, this is a wonderful eclectic style house as well. Many of you all have seen this. It's on McLean, and it's was the home of Virginia Fraser Boyle. She was the Fraser family was very influential in the late 19th century. And she traveled to Italy and really loved Italian architecture. So she ended up coming back to the US after a year in Europe or whatever, and having an architect design this for her. So it's still there today. I think our next slide will show you a current photograph of it. No, sorry, let's go back for just a second. So today it's still there. It's great. It's painted yellow, and it's very, very Renaissance revival, I suppose would be the word. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm giving a lecture. Okay, sorry. One of the neighbors. You know how it goes. All right, let's move on. Okay, Tudor again. I really like this baby too. This is actually a duplex. As you drive around Midtown and look at the homes, you'd be surprised how many are actually duplexes, many of which are not really noticeable from the street. But when you do our architectural survey like I do, you say, oh my gosh, that's a duplex too. So this is a great Tudor duplex. Once again, what do we see? We see all of our hallmarks of Tudor. We see our arch door. This one is like stone with brick insets there, very, very fanciful. And then we have this fabulous, this is called an oriel window up here. And once again, the Tudor, the little tiny diamond lights. And then we've got what we saw in the other house. We've got this, the stucco and the wood wall cladding. It still has its tile shingles, which is so remarkable. It has a brick chimney there, but the duplex part of it, I don't know if any of y'all have been in here, but you know, you've got basically two porches. The downstairs porch gets a covered porch with an arched entrance, and above it we have stone turned balustrades for just a low railing on there, and then these magnificent planters. So and then this is accessed by a French door, and it's the same thing downstairs too. So it's a really great duplex that really graces that corner there in Annisdale Park. Next, please. All right, so colonial revival took a hit during the Depression. You come up with minimal traditional, and they look at the most traditional cottages they can find, peasant stuff, and then they add a colonial revival touch to it. But it became fabulously popular, and I really kind of like them. And they call them Cape Cods, and they do look like they could be up on the Cape. So their hallmarks, of course, are this bay window. They always have a three-part bay window. They have a cornice returns up here. That's another colonial revival feature. We've got the 8/1 and the 6/1 windows. That's colonial revival with shutters. It's wood. It has a wood cladding, and it has an extension over here on the side that's called a telescopic addition. That in this case is the porch, but oftentimes people will put a bedroom or a sunroom or a library on one end, and then do the porch on the other, and then the fireplace is in the living room, and you can see the chimney there. It's kind of served by that. But this actually sits right across the street from the Galloway Mansion, and I find them both very, very beautiful in their own ways. Next. Okay, so I hadn't really discussed Prairie, but we're going to look at the master, Frank Lloyd Wright, now for just a little bit. This is really a very late Prairie style over in Evergreen, and I didn't notice it till this woman called me and said, Judith, can you come over and do the history of my house for me? Because I've inherited it from my parents. They're both passed. And I just want to know more about it. So I said, sure. And I looked into it, and it had I can't remember the architect's name, but it's obviously architect design. And it has all the hallmarks kind of what you're seeing with prairie style houses. It has a really deep eave, but a low roof. The entrance, it just has a portico sticking out. Has this great cracked tile patio. It used to have lights on it. They kind of had died. And then you can see it has it just has like a banks of windows. So there's all this light in there. And her father was, I don't know, he was like a mining engineer or something. So he had it built and she had inherited it. So she was pretty pleased with it. So at any rate, 1921, this is very late for Prairie, but it's a great example of a late Prairie house and kind of the hallmarks of Prairie. So I think we got a couple more here. Let's see what we got next. All right, this is a beauty. I guess this is on Overton Park on the other end, almost down to Cleveland. It's once again, it has very low roof, it has a very wide overhang, it has paired doors opening out into the patio. Once again, we're seeing banks of windows, and then we see multi-light over one window. And it has the most adorable feature. It has eyebrow dormers here, and they're just wonderful. I just love them when I see them. You don't see them very often. I assume to the left here is the living room, and I believe over here on the right, this is just a guess, but I think that's probably the dining room, and they didn't want quite so much light in there, but it still is a very interesting facade on the house. It is stucco and the wainscoting is brick. The only bad thing they've done in the color is good, but if they could have come in with a second color there and made the wainscoting contrast with the rest of the wall cladding, yeah, I think it would. I think it'd be a little more eye-catching, but whatever. It's still a great house. All right. All right. So this is you guys' very own Prairie style, and this house has interesting history. The man that, a couple owned it, and then the father died and the mother remained there until she passed. And the son, who was not young, refused to sell it. So he just let it sit there, and it was just really deteriorating. And a friend of mine that worked for the city was determined to have it, and he just kept on and on and on. And one day the man just finally sold it to him, and he came in and renovated it. It's just stunning inside. I don't really have any interior photographs, but he did a beautiful job restoring all of the floors and the wall paneling and everything. And once again, we're looking at serious Prairie here. We got our eaves, we got our huge porch, partial patio, and the great stone piers. So it's quite a showpiece there in Central Gardens. So your very own Prairie style. All right. Okay. So this is, all right, I have to tell you, I love modernism. I think it's just stunning. And modernism has evolved over time. And this particular style, the international style, was actually invented in the 1920s by Mies van der Rohe and Corbusier and 2 or 3 other of the modernists from Germany. And so the international style Mies brought to the United States when he left fascism in Germany and started doing like the Seagram's building and things like that. So our own personal father of modernism in town here is A.L. Adelot. And Adelot was just a really great modernist architect, and he has buildings in Central Gardens. He did some of his later stuff. You're just like, well, whatever. He did the fire station downtown that they're about to demolish. He did, I think he did the federal building downtown. Some of his stuff hasn't held up so well. And maybe he did City Hall. I certainly hope not, since all the wall cladding is falling yet again. But nonetheless, when this building was built, this front addition was not on it, okay? So it's just this beautiful beautiful Miesian box. And what the international style, they always kidded and said, less is more and more is a bore. So this was just perfectly flat. And it won, this is the IC school, and it won several national and international architecture awards when it was first designed and built. So it's a great credit to your neighborhood, and certainly one of the more stunning international style buildings in the city. All right, let's see if we've got it. Oops, that's it. All right, so any questions? All right, well.
Wait,
Judith?
we're unmuting. Hey. I'm Nancy Hand.
Hi, Nancy.
Well, it's not necessarily a question, but I have been to your mid-century Memphis site 1,000 billion times.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I am very, very much into mid-century and early modern, and I love that building too.
Thank
just
you.
saying that we're out of Memphis at the moment, but it's one of the things that when we were moving there, we were looking for a mid-century because we left one in Alabama that you would have loved, and there's just not a whole lot. So I'm really glad to see that. I'm happy that you've shown a light on what is there. You know. That's
Well,
all.
yes, it's modernism never really took off in Memphis very much. So generally, you're going to find gyms stuck in more conventional neighborhoods, but they are out there. And I'm glad you like the site. And I just enjoy finding what we've got. And when I look at other cities, it's just kind of disgusting how much mid-century modern Knoxville has, for instance. That's where I was reared. And I was just like, how did they have all that mid-century there? But they maybe TVA, all those scientists wanted more modern. But nonetheless, we do have some things. And like I said, if you all want me to do another presentation at some time, I'll be happy to look at modernism with you because it's just a lot of fun. And looking at all the technology that gave birth to modernism, I find fascinating.
There was a house in or near High Point Terrace that it's just absolutely gorgeous. It has gold doors, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's a named house. It's set back on.
Are you talking about over there on Hedgemore?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
It's a freakish ton of glass block and these gold doors and what looks like an awesome like a
There's glass block.
glass block everywhere, and it's rounded a little bit. It's got a lot.
Yes.
Nancy, Carl's grandfather did that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Grandfather designed that.
Wow.
So it was an awesome house.
Look, one of my bucket list items is to see the inside of that one.
It's pretty extraordinary.
It is extraordinary, really.
It's an extraordinary house. And you know, the interesting thing is that Carl did the what is it, Temple of Gethsemane, Church of God in Christ, Gethsemane Church of God in Christ. But both of those are international style, and they were both designed during the 30s. But because of the economic situation, nothing could be built till after World War II. And I think an engineer built the home over there on Hedgemore, or in Hedgemore.
His
got
name,
it in another show.
yeah, his name was Walker Welford.
Yes, Walker. Yes, so he has all sorts of amazing things. The basement there and the plumbing and all are just fabulous as well. So yeah, it's a great Walker Wolford. That's a really great house.
Yeah.
Cool. I would love to see some information on that.
Well, we need to get a tour. For a while, he was going to put it on the register, and then he didn't do it. I really wanted to see it on the register. And then there's one other house that I like that a friend of mine is restoring out in Fraser. We call it the Fraser Bauhaus. It's out on Thomas, and it's an international style white stucco house. It's quite interesting as well. And the woman, what is her name? Dana Gabrion. She is a Memphian, but works in Hollywood and has all sorts of real estate and stuff. But she's restoring that she found an architect. We were working to find her an architect that could come in. She's going to make everything, period, international style, you know, doorknobs and toilets and everything. It's pretty amazing, quite frankly. If
So
you
Judith,
like,
you'll have to come out and see our house. We're in Ted Rust's old house. It's mid-century modern.
and where are you?
We're on Waynoka.
Oh, cool. Oh, I think
Yeah,
we need
and
more.
we're loving it. We're loving it.
Well, Nancy, you certainly have a good eye, okay?
Yeah.
If there's not any other questions, I'd like to personally thank Judith for her time and certainly the lack of advance notice that we provided, that she was able to join us and do such a nice job. Thank you.
Well,
Judith.
thank you very much. It was my pleasure to meet everybody. And thank you for your attention. And maybe we'll get together again sometime, okay?
Would hope so.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Judith.
Bye-bye.
That was so nice.
Are there any other announcements?
All right, let's see.
I have a quick question of Dustin. Dustin, were you able to send the recording to Leo Arnold of the MICA transportation meeting?
I have not been able to yet. I checked last meeting and it was still downloading on my computer, but I'll try to find it on my computer and get that over.
That would be great if you need for, because I got another email from him a couple of days ago asking for it.
I'd like to take just a moment to thank Ingrid. I participated when I could with the two students who were sharing their India experience. And I have a daughter-in-law who's an instructor in yoga and really gained an appreciation for it with the wonderful teacher that was on from India. And I think everyone that participated, both young people as well as the adults in our club, really got a lot out of it. So thank you, Ingrid, for your efforts in that. If there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and we'll look forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday at WYXR in Crosstown.
Night.
Night.